What's up, everybody? Welcome to On West Gray, the monthly podcast about all things local government in the city of Norman. I'm your host, Tiffany Verstead, Chief Communications Officer for the city of Norman, and we appreciate you tuning in. If there's one thing that pretty much all Oklahomans have in common, it's that we're all weather nerds, at least just a little. It's very important for us to stay weather aware throughout the year, but especially during the springtime comes storm season. One great thing about living in Norman is that we're home to the National Weather Center. And today in the studio with us, we have a couple weather gurus, and they're going to tell us all about how their agencies keep us safe and informed during this time of year. So we have Mark Fox, Meteorologist-in-Charge of the National Weather Service here in Norman, and James Hocker, OK First Program Manager for the Oklahoma Mesonet. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Glad to be here.
Thanks so much for having us.
Absolutely. So can you tell us maybe a little bit about yourself, just kind of some introductions and background for our listeners?
Fair enough. I'm Mark Fox, the meteorologist in charge for the Weather Forecast Office here in Norman, Oklahoma. I am an oddball in Oklahoma because I grew up in the other college town in the state. Well, the other big college town in the state. So Dad's
Are you talking about Stillwater?
Talking about Stillwater.
Okay,
That's
we'll
right.
forgive you for that.
Well, that's okay. Dad grew up in Norman,
Very good.
a long time ago, and moved his family up to Stillwater. But up in Stillwater, I don't know if James has a similar story to mine, but I can pinpoint the day. June 13th, 1975, an F3 tornado went through Stillwater from northwest to southeast, and from that point on, I've been hooked on weather. So,
Wow.
Like you said in the beginning, everybody in Oklahoma is kind of a weather nerd, and I guess I became even a nerd among nerds. So, been a weather fanatic basically all my life, and now I'm back home doing a job I love and getting to do it for Oklahomans.
All right. Very important job. And you, sir?
Yes, and I'm James Hocker. I'm the OK First Program Manager for the Oklahoma Mesonet, and kind of like Mark, and I think a lot of weather people, we probably were meteorologists at heart before we even knew it. So my parents always said when I was a kid, I grew up in the North Dallas suburb of Richardson, Texas, and they said they knew way before I did that I was going to do this one day. And it took like some getting through high school and realizing that, okay, this is something you could actually do as a career that kind of drove me to come to the University of Oklahoma and ultimately get a degree in meteorology and not even leave the building that I work in today. So
Awesome.
Yeah, that's the other thing about me. I'm from Stillwater, but I actually know you graduate, but it was 2 buildings ago. So it's a little longer past than James.
Well, awesome. We are so happy to have you guys and learn a little bit more about what you do. I'll share our assistant city manager, Shannon Stevenson, is a bit of a more of a pro weather nerd too. She studied meteorology at OU. And so anytime something goes down, I'm like, show us these graphs and charts and what they mean. And so we're very plugged into what you guys do, and we're just so grateful for your work. So can you tell us just a little bit more about, are you all like housed in the same facility? What does the National Weather Service do compared to the Oklahoma Mesonet? How do you work together?
yeah, so it's an interesting building. So the National Weather Center, the whole concept of the building was to bring our NOAA, our National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration federal colleagues under the same roof as our University of Oklahoma research group. So the group that I'm in, the Oklahoma Mesonet, we are a state agency, and we are responsible for measuring all the weather conditions across the state of Oklahoma. We have 120 Mesonet sites, and what they do is they measure the temperature, the wind, the humidity, the pressure, the rainfall, every 5 minutes from 120 locations. So we have at least one in every county of our 77 counties, and they're doing a great job keeping us up to speed on what our conditions are, which, as you know, especially this time of year, we've been dealing with a lot of wind, and we're getting into our time of year where we get a lot more storm activity. So that data is really crucial for our National Weather Service colleagues. So that's a little bit more what Mark gets to do. So I'll let him share a little bit.
I'll start right there because we love the data. Every 5 minutes, we're getting all sorts of new information from the Oklahoma Mesonet. And we're not only getting it from one spot, but all 120. So every county in the state of Oklahoma is covered very well with data. Something I have not always had in my career. So I've worked in Texas, worked in Florida. Sometimes those data points were pretty sparse. We love the Oklahoma Mesonet data. And as James said, the National Weather Center it's a collaborative building. 51% of it is under OU, under the University of Oklahoma. The other 49% is under NOAA, the National Organization for the Advancement of Acronyms. So I will mess up at some point today. James actually gave you the real definition of it. But so we're federal, we're state, and we can interact with the local partners all across what's called our county warning area. So the Weather Forecast Office, where I work, we cover 56 counties, 48 of them in Oklahoma and 8 of them in North Texas. Of course, Cleveland County is one of our big counties that we cover, and we're responsible for all the forecasts, all the warnings, and all the bad stuff that goes on. So we tell people sometimes, when you're watching TV and you hear the beep, 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 and somebody else comes on and starts to talk about the weather, we're not talking about the weather there, we're the beep, beep, beep. So we're the ones putting out the warnings, putting out the advisories, and trying to keep people as safe as possible. But the Weather Forecast Office, where I am, is only part of it. The Storm Prediction Center is right across the hall from us. In fact, we share a break room with the Storm Prediction Center, and they are responsible for all the watches and outlooks that go out today, tomorrow, all the way out through the next 7 days. Severe weather experts in the building right there. The National Severe Storms Lab is within the building as well. So that's actually the biggest tenet of the National Weather Center because there's a lot of research that goes on. There's a cooperative institute that goes on. So there are, 100 other meteorologists within the building. And I like to say, and James has heard this way too many times, so he's already grimacing, but the best thing about working in the National Weather Center is when you put out a forecast, there's 100 other meteorologists that are forecasting along with you. And the worst thing about being in the National Weather Center is there's 100 other meteorologists trying to second guess what's going on as well. Not second guess, but it's a very collaborative environment. So you have to be at the top of your game, and everybody is working together. And when the things get bad outside, egos go away. The department titles go away. We're all trying to do the same thing, and that's protect life and property the best we can.
Sure. And you talked about, 100 meteorologists, lots of agency collaboration going on, multiple floors. I got to visit the National Weather Center for the first time not too long ago. Can you share, if people are interested in touring your building, is that welcome? How do people learn more? Do you have Dorothy in there from Twister? Did I see that?
Dorothy is in there. Yes. Yeah, you can call the Weather Center. I believe there's a web page out there that you can request a tour. There are tours going on all the time.
So the actual address, if you go to ou.edu/NWC, that webpage is the webpage for the National Weather Center. We have public tours on Mondays and Fridays, but you have to request that tour because, as you'd expect, it's pretty popular. A lot of people want to take that. We also have group tours on Thursdays that are offered for large groups in schools. So
okay. I recommend everyone going. That is so cool. So can you tell us about, from the public point of view, what is the best way to track your work? What systems or tools can folks kind of maybe opt into to just make sure that they're staying weather aware this season?
We at the Weather Service, it's a long, convoluted story, but we don't have an app. But there is a great app with the Oklahoma Mesonet.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have an app, and the kind of the cool thing, being in the same building, we are literally on the same floors as the National Weather Service. So we bump into each other, going to get water at the water fountain or going to the cafe. But so our office, being that we're university, and we're actually a partnership between the University of Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. So that's kind of the roots of the Oklahoma Mesonet system, is that it started as a partnership between our two flagship universities. So Mark likes that because the OSU within him, we actually are partnering. We call it our Bedlam partnership.
Okay.
But we are based at the University of Oklahoma. But we have the ability to have data available through an app. So we have a free Mesonet app. So if you go to the App Store, if you're an app user, or if you're an Android person, you can go onto the Google Play Store. And we offer that for free. And what's in that app? We have all the current weather information from all our 120 Mesonet sites. So you can get individual site data. You can also see maps with all our Mesonet sites, see the current wind map, the current temperature map. Those can certainly come in handy when we're dealing with freezing weather situations when we're dealing with winds. We have radar in that app. We also have the advisories from our National Weather Service friends. And we also have their forecasts. So since they don't have an ability to do an app, we include their data. So we don't pull from a private weather company. We pull from the National Weather Service. So it's a great way to show that we're under the same roof and we are truly partnering together and using that data in our app.
Very
and
good.
that's where everything comes together, because the data, I call it up right now. When we're recording this, is beautiful day, 70 degrees exactly, because I've got the data right in front of me, right on the cell phone. But I can see the forecast, and there's, this is directly from a human at the National Weather Service, experts giving the best forecast that we possibly can give.
All right. And we also, we have like a municipal alert system at normanok.gov/alert Norman, and anybody can sign up for that. And we push all of the alerts that come through your offices straight to our folks too. So staying informed, staying prepared, obviously, is incredibly important. So to that end, what can folks do right now to make sure that they are well prepared for storm season?
I think one tip is to be thinking ahead the many ways that you need to be able to receive information. So we always talk about, us weather people, that having at least 3 ways to receive warnings is crucial. So that could be a traditional radio, a National Weather Service NOAA weather radio. It could also be just your phone, having an ability to get alerts through your phone. It could be being at the ready to tune in to your local TV station. So having at least 3 ways to get a warning is crucial, because if something doesn't work on one of them, having a backup or a third will enhance your chances. So that's one app I thought I'd mention. So the Mesonet app, of course, I'm a little biased because I work there. We have a good app. We don't provide alerts through that app, or at least you're not getting pinged. You do get pinged with your wireless emergency alerts during tornado warnings and flash flood warnings, those types of things. But there are a couple other good apps out there. The American Red Cross has a severe weather app that's really good, and it does that service. So it's free. So that's one I'd recommend if you'd like to get alerts and you don't have an app that does that currently. That's a good one to check out.
Okay.
Yeah, and sign up for any local alerts, because that's where the local emergency manager is going to be sending out the alerts, and it may be tied directly with information that comes from us or from somebody else, but that's going to be that added extra, hey, you need to take this seriously. And, you live in Cleveland County, Oklahoma. Weather is going to be a problem this spring.
Right.
I don't know exactly which day, which hour, which neighborhood, but we all know it's going to be a factor. If you live in Cleveland County, you live in the city of Norman or anywhere close by, there is absolutely no excuse to not be informed on the weather on a daily basis. So the Weather Service has web pages where you can kind of check the forecast, and a lot of times we put up a planner or something like that is going to be, okay, today is no big deal, but look out for next Friday. And that way you can kind of follow the forecast as it comes along. And then when the alerts go out, be prepared. Use a beautiful day. If you're listening to this and it's sunny skies outside, hopefully your next thing is going to be, okay, if something did happen right here and right now, what would I do? When I came into this building, I kind of look around because I'm a complete weather nerd. I was, okay, where's the safety areas? There's a bathroom down the hall that could fit a lot of people for a very short period of time. It's just something I do because I've seen too much in the way of damage. And you always want to make sure you're thinking about it before things get bad. And when that tornado warning is issued or severe thunderstorm warning is issued, just make sure you're doing that thing. Because when things are going crazy outside, that's the last time you want to stop and think, okay, now where should I go? Oh, I didn't clean out that closet yesterday, so there's really no place for me to go. Time is too short. We're talking a matter of seconds here. So think about what you're going to do on the good days. That way it's just second nature on the bad ones.
Right. And you mentioned like a bathroom or a closet. So to folks who are maybe new to the area that haven't been through a storm season, where should folks go? Put
as many walls between you and the outside as absolutely possible. Underground storm shelter is going to be great. Built-in, I guess, storm shelter, if you have one of those, that's fantastic. That's where you want to be. Bathrooms, closets, usually good because there's typically not a whole lot of windows there, and it's a small small space and there's a lot of walls between you and the outside. So just make sure you have that safety area in mind. Lowest floor, you don't want to be on the 3rd floor. You definitely don't want to be on the 10th floor of Walker Tower or something like that. The view might be better up there, but let's not go look for things. Get low and then put as many walls between you and the outside as you can.
Very good. And sometimes they talk about in preparedness efforts, maybe having like a go bag. What should be in that?
Water is a really important one. One thing that people don't really think about when they're getting into their shelter is what's on their feet. Yep. A lot of times people just go in barefoot or just with socks on. Mm-hmm. Have your shoes. So that's like the first thing our family does when we're preparing. The hardest events, I think, are like the ones that we're dealing with tornadoes after dark. They're not easy to warn on. They're not easy to be dealing with for any of us. So we tend to put like our shoes near our safe spot. We have one of those in garage shelters. So we put our shoes out there first. And we make sure that we have flashlights and radio and water and some snacks, a blanket. So those are a few of the things that we do in our house.
Okay. And I'll put you on the spot here if you might have an answer, but no pressure. I am originally from Southwest Oklahoma. I got to Norman around 3.5-ish years ago. When I first got here, the first big weather event was like in October. And then we had a couple years ago the East Side tornado that came through, which was in February. So growing up in Oklahoma, you always heard March, April, May, right? That's like prime time for storm season. So do you guys have any like stats or data regarding, how maybe that has changed if it has, or maybe, that might just be some unique circumstances that I've experienced, or when's the prime time, I guess?
Well, the prime time is still March, April, and May.
Okay.
But tornado season in Oklahoma starts on January 1st and it ends December 31st.
Let's keep that in mind, everybody.
That really, it does peak, but every month of the year in Oklahoma, there have been tornadoes. And since the Weather Service really started capturing good tornado information, which was about 1950, there's another show for that one if you really want. That will take a long, long time to explain. But since 1950, there's been tornadoes since January 1st all the way through the end of December. And on our webpage, just weather.gov/OUN, OU Norman, is a systematic keeping of all the tornadoes by month, by hour, all that. So when I was growing up, it was tornado season is the spring. The rest of the time, you don't really have to worry about it. The data does not show that. It still shows it's been there for a long time. Yes, it does peak in the spring. There's a reason meteorologically it does that, but tornadoes happen when the environment is right.
Okay. And I have to ask this because we get questions every year. I'm sure that you all do too. What is the difference between a watch and a warning?
So a watch is think of ready, set. So the conditions are favorable to get that hazard. If it's a tornado watch, the conditions are conducive to have tornadoes in the coming hours. A warning means it's either been detected by radar or it's been observed by a spotter out in the field, and it's the time to go. So the ready, set is the watch part. The go is your warning. You need to be taking immediate action to save your life.
Yeah. Imagine you're walking through any field, meadow, whatever you want to call it here in outskirts of Norman or within Norman. In the springtime, are there rattlesnakes out there?
Probably.
There's your watch. Could be out there. I need to be on the lookout for them. You're walking through that meadow or whatever, and all of a sudden you hear that little rattle. Mm-hmm. There's your warning.
Okay.
So the watch is, it's possible. The warning means something bad could happen to you if you don't do something different with your life for the next 15 or 20 minutes.
Right. And that is so good to know. And I just would also like to emphasize that it is very dangerous to be on the road, yes, right, during extreme weather. So maybe don't wait until the warning comes along to try to get somewhere. Maybe be there already, right?
Exactly.
100%. Yeah. A lot of our fatalities, unfortunately, happen in vehicles. They also happen in mobile homes, which are hard to anchor to the ground. So those are two areas that are most vulnerable that we find in many of the damage assessments and the after-action reports.
Yeah, vehicles are just a horrible place to be. And the only thing that might be a little bit worse is being in a vehicle and being stuck in traffic. Mm-hmm. And we get asked all the time, well, what do you do if you are in your vehicle? The sounding horrible answer is, don't put yourself in that position. You should be aware of what's coming to you. If you're about to leave work and you normally take 20 minutes to get home, I don't know if you're going out into the country or just usually get stopped in traffic. On those days, take a look at the radar. Take a look at the Mesonet app because it's got the radar, it's got the maps and everything that's there for you. If you see something coming towards you, maybe delay. Now, there's always going to be cases. Have to pick up the kids, have to be wherever. But the idea is don't put yourself in that position. And then you do get caught in your car. Same thing like we talk about preparedness. On your drive home, where are those places you could stop and take shelter if you absolutely had to? Because you don't want to be thinking about this stuff when the pressure's on.
Right. So being proactive is incredibly important. So I have to ask both of you, what is your most favorite thing about what you do, about your job, your career?
Wow.
So my specific responsibilities in my office is I train our public safety officials across Oklahoma. So I travel a lot. Yesterday I was in Elk City. Tomorrow I'm in Ponca City. And what I do is I train our emergency managers, our police, and our fire how to use weather and radar information. And really just getting to work with everyday people that are there to help keep their communities safe. It's really meaningful. So that's absolutely my favorite part of my job.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's number one right there. Because in the weather forecasting business, especially with, things don't always go the way you think they're going to. Mother Nature is very humbling. God has a sense of humor. Just try to forecast the weather in Oklahoma because our information that we give out allows local emergency managers like David Grizzle, gives him a chance to make a decision. And that decision has to be made on risk, not occurrence. So if we are giving him and others enough information that he is happy with the decision as he is made, then we feel like our job is done. And we're trying to protect life and property. And when it comes down to canceling a prom, canceling an outdoor event or whatever else, canceling school in the winter, these decisions are agonized over. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you guys have seen that here at the city.
I got married in May in Oklahoma, so yes.
Oh boy. Why did you choose? Oh, never
I
mind.
know.
So if we can help them make those decisions and we get the instant feedback, what worked, what didn't, I'm happy with this, now let's move on. It's that satisfaction of helping people make those decisions and feel comfortable about them, because weather is chaotic at best. And, we're trying to get the best outcome all the time. Tornadoes happen. Winter storms happen. They all happen one way or the other. So as long as we're comfortable with getting people to help them make those decisions, that's where the real benefit comes in.
How important is it for folks to, I see after like major weather events, you'll ask for like maybe pictures or videos or measurements at homes or workplaces. So how important is it for you all to get that feedback? And would you, encourage folks to maybe continue submitting that to you?
It's critical, because we have a pretty good idea on what's happening on a radar. We can tell where the circulations are, where the wind speeds are most likely highest. But until we really take a look at what happened, we can't correlate the two. And with damage assessments, anytime that anybody is comfortable taking pictures, we I don't want to say like to get them. We like to get them so we can learn from the event.
It's more data for you.
It's more data, and we do like to do that. We like to get the information so we can figure out what happened, what we did well, maybe what we didn't do so well, and learn from the next time. So those damage pictures are very important, especially when it comes to hail, damage, winds, anything else. So, we welcome anything anybody ever wants to give. Social media, for us, it's NWS Norman. Real hard to to remember there. We're not very creative as meteorologists. So
we tag you a lot in city stuff.
And we appreciate that very much. But yeah, we do like to get that information because it just tells us what really happened. Otherwise, it's just a screen. And, the outcome is what's important here.
Understood. Well, is there any other information that you would like to share with our listeners?
I'll give you my favorite one, and it's probably one that's going to get you a couple of comments on the after effect. So the outdoor warning sirens, when they go off, they are not designed to be heard indoors. That blows a lot of people's minds for whatever reason. So if you are indoors and complain that you're not hearing the sirens, you're not supposed to hear the sirens while indoors. If you are outdoors and you hear the siren, the idea is go inside and find out what's going on, but get inside. So that's my TED Talk, and I'll stick to it, and I'm happy to tell anybody else that. So.
All right. Tornado sirens, they are meant to be heard by people outside, not inside.
Not indoors.
Do you have anything you'd like to add,
No, that's a great
sir?
point. So I work a lot with David Grizzle. He's the EM here in Norman. And
Yes.
sirens are an important function, but they're also a very complicated function, not just for Norman, for all our cities in Oklahoma, because they have civil defense sort of origins, from the Cold War era, and that changed, of course, and now they're mainly used for weather functions. But there's this misconception that they're intended to be heard indoors, and they're not. It's an alerting device to let you know if you're outside to get inside, but your phone, all the other ways that you're able to receive a warning, that's how you're intended to get those when you're inside, whether it's a NOAA weather radio, a regular radio, an app on your phone.
Yeah.
And I'll share, in the Norman area, they're tested on Saturday afternoons. So I came from Southwest Oklahoma, and they were tested on weekday morning. So I was very confused by that at first. So just so you know, mostly on Saturdays, that's when they'll be
Saturday,
testing.
right at noon.
Okay,
Yep.
Very good. Well, thank you all so much for joining us. We appreciate all that you do. Your jobs are imperative to public safety and keeping everyone aware and protected during storm season. So thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Questions or commentary about On West Gray can be sent into publicaffairs@normanok.gov. Shouts to our producer and editor, Mr. Bryce Holland of the City of Norman Communications Office. Visit normanok.gov/news to enroll for e-notifications on traffic advisories, upcoming events, election notices, and more. Follow us on social, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, City of Norman OK, and on Instagram, The City of Norman. Until next time, stay engaged, stay informed, and always remember to cast your ballot. I'm Tiffany Verska. Thank you for joining us on West Gray.